I chose the article Recent Injury and Health-Related Quality of Life in Adolescent Athletes. This study took two groups of adolescent athletes, injured and uninjured athletes, and gave them a questionnaire to fill out and two generic scales, the SF-36 and the PODCI. I chose this article much like I chose the last article because I could relate to this topic. I consider myself an athlete. All throughout high school, I ran cross country and indoor and outdoor track on the varsity teams. I went through many different injuries, some of which included tendonitis, plantar fasciitis, and tears in my quadricep muscles. During these times of injuries, I not only experienced the obvious physical pain and the physical pain. However, I also felt as though there was another loss stemming from these injuries, some of which lasted up to 3 months or so. I felt as though a social aspect of my life was being taken away, that being I wasn't able to go to practice after school, and that meant that some of my best friends were on the team, so I wasn't really able to get that social interaction that I was when I wasn't injured. I also didn't experience the sense of satisfaction that I got when I would get a new personal record in a race that I was running, or I wasn't able to run a far distance. So my injury definitely went beyond the physical component of it, and I would say it certainly impacted and affected the health-related quality of life that I experienced during these times. I found this article very interesting. The objective of this article was to examine the extent to which a self-reported injury affected health-related quality of life in adolescent athletes using two generic scales, which I mentioned previously. These health-related quality of life scales measured the physical and psychological and social domains of health that are affected by personal experiences, expectations, and perceptions. Overall, conclusions can be drawn from this study. Adolescent athletes who did report self-reported injuries, had lower scales on the SF-36 that affected the physical functioning, pain, and social functioning. Lower scores on the PODCI were also noted, but these were only noted with self-reported injuries by adolescents, specifically about the pain and physical functioning. These did not include the social functioning. There are definitely some limitations to this study that I feel as though need to be addressed. The three scales that were utilized during this study, none of them asked the athlete to specify the type of injury that they were experiencing. The severity or the location were not addressed on these questionnaires. It would certainly be important for the severity for a person to possibly rate their pain scale on a 0 to 10 scale. Obviously, if someone's experiencing mild pain as opposed to severe pain, their health-related quality of life is not completely going to be affected as someone who was in a great deal of pain. Also, the location is very important, particularly when talking about the type of sport. For example, if you're a runner and you injure your foot or your leg, that's going to cause a great deal of, that's going to affect your life more than if you're, say, a pitcher who doesn't particularly need to use their legs as much as a runner would, or if, say, a pitcher injured their fingers or their hand, that's going to obviously affect their legs. Also, another interesting thing that I would have liked the study to do is ask the athletes to specify their gender. Perhaps a female would experience more issues in the emotional and the social functioning during their time of injury, as opposed to the male, who may just report the physical and the functioning of the injury. So I think this article really did have a great idea behind it, in the fact that the medical world needs to go beyond the physical aspect of the injury and focus on the person as a whole and take a holistic approach to this injury, particularly during this time period in an adolescent's life where they may feel vulnerable and feel as though their sport is the only thing they have right now. So I think this word needs to be brought out about the not only the physical aspect of the injury, but talk to the patient about the emotional well-being and the social well-being and the roles that they have in their life.